And we're live.
Yo, everybody, what's up? This is Aether's Workshop, Starry Eyes, the podcast where you submit your submissions. We give you tips and tricks on how to improve your sprite work. I'm Sprite Star, creator of Olympia, and we got Wishstream. We got Wishstream, creative Astra. Unfortunately, we are one short because Giik is doing a big old move right now, and has to be away from the podcast. The last time we were talking to him about it, he was crying, like ugly crying. It was very painful to watch. He really wanted to be here, but we're just gonna keep him moving for him, and then do as the saying says, do what Giik would do. So we're just gonna go straight into our new pocket. Go straight into the podcast. It's the same podcast from before. We're just missing a spider. Anyway, let us go to our first submission. Let me double check to make sure that everything's in proper order, and it is. So we're gonna start off with a fan favorite, it seems like. Everyone asks, you requested it. That's right, the people did. Crazy Dave. It's just Crazy Dave. You guys cried out to the heavens to see this character in Rivals of Aether, the video game, the animated series. And we got ourselves a idle animation, it looks like. So
It feels like a buddy in the background.
yeah. So what you got? Would you like to start us off first, Giik, or would you like me to kick us off in this one?
Geek's not here.
I miss him, man. I miss him so much. But what about you, Wish? You want to kick us off on this one? Or you want me to start us off?
I want you to start off. It's like, if I'm gonna say the truth, I probably won't say anything constructive on this one.
That's fair. But we got ourselves just like a bouncy little idle animation. It's pretty tame, honestly. It's a lot of arm movement, and I'm very impressed that whoever made this got everything moving without looking so jank, because it's a lot of parts moving here. I think it's part of his nature for him to be this way. I haven't played Plants vs. Zombies, so I don't know much of the...
Oh yeah, he's totally like this.
Yeah, like I don't know much of the source material, but I'm assuming that this is how he is in the game that he's from.
Oh yeah.
I guess my only complaint that I can really pull from outside of the very obvious pillow shading on the shirt is I guess just like the lack of motion in his head. Like there's not much going on like his head other than just him going up and down. Like I would probably like some kind of like movement in his face, I think would be the only thing I would ask for this. Like,
yeah.
Because I would assume he's a very twitchy character here.
He's definitely very twitchy.
Yeah.
I can confirm that.
So we can probably some more twitchiness in the face, and for that I'll honestly say leave it at that. Honestly, I do like that you maintain the shadow over his shirt with his arms. That's kind of an advanced thing. Even I don't do that from time to time. I've been trying to get into that, but yeah. It still doesn't help with his pillow shaded shirt. So just maybe give some more texture there, and like not have everything all rounded out. Passing it over to you, Wish.
Okay, alright. Everyone's pointing this out in the chat.
Mm-hmm.
There's a single pixel on the left, on the right foot.
Oh yeah, we got ourselves a sharp pair of pants down there.
Yeah, a very blade sharp pants. Yeah. Other than the obvious pillow shading and the obvious could use some face movement. I guess what you could do is because right now he's fat, right?
Yep.
Maybe make the shirt
kind of contort to his weight.
Yeah, contort to his weight. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. That would also count as texture as well. So you wouldn't have to add wrinkles in a shirt, and on top of that, you can just make the shirt look as if the stomach is causing that shirt to move that way, and that would be perfect if you did it that way.
Mm-hmm. Also, I don't know. It just bothers me. It's the right arm, right? It's way too far, but I could see why you did that, so you could fit arms.
Yeah.
But it just feels weird. It's it's all the way over the side. You may want to fix that. Check how Crazy Dave looks like, right? It's more circular than a long straight end at the right side of the arm. And that's pretty much it, I guess. I mean, I don't see. This is why I said you go first, because I can't find anything that's so much constructive on this one.
Yeah, it's a passable animation. I really don't see, other than the critiques that we both gave, I don't see much that you should change for this. There's a lot of movement going on. It's very active, but it could be more active to fit the soul of this character, you know. So that would be it. So whoever submitted this, I'm bad at names. I'm bad at remembering things that's typed on Discord. I can go back and look at. So kudos to you. You did a good animation. All right, we're gonna go on to our next submission. And we got ourselves a we got ourselves a voxel chicken, which is just a voxel is a term used for 3D models made primarily of squares. That one Pokemon game barely anyone played is a result of that as well. That also fits it. But yeah, we got ourselves a little chicky chick. And yeah. Want to start this one off, Wish?
Sure. I'm just gonna gush.
Yeah, go for it.
Okay, so I love how you did this, because this is absolutely how it works in Crossy Road. I played the game. I have the game on my phone. Right? It's a bouncy little chicken. Right? It squashes and stretches properly, and that's what I like. Right? It's not just a bob right, left and right and down. Even the wing, I see you there moving it forward a bit just to make it bouncy.
Mm-hmm.
It's not just when a new artist does it, the wing would stay in place. And also the eyes also stretch too. So notice that.
Yeah, this is a beautiful example of squash and stretch, and it's extremely effective without it being excessive, you know. So kudos to you. For someone that doesn't know anything about the game that this character is from, this chicken is from, just watching it, it's just beautiful, man. You did an amazing job at this.
Mm-hmm. Also, it could be more smoother, but it doesn't have to. Right?
Yeah, that's extra fluff. Like, this is a pretty great animation on its own already. I don't see anything you can improve on this. It's a idle animation with some squash and stretch. Like, the most you can do is like add a frame to smooth things out, but it's fine without it. So yeah, you get a good old 5 stars from me.
Yeah, it's also 5 stars for me.
Yeah. Good job.
4.5.
Yeah. All right. So we got ourselves one that all 3 of us here, Giik included, even though he's not here, is extremely excited to see because it is of a character of a medium that we all have a soft spot for. Delta, if you're in this chat, you better be happy because Giik loves your character. Let me read off the exact thing that we were told to say. Let me scroll up a little bit. Where is it? The hell is it? Literally saw it. Literally said it today. Whatever. Delta, Giik likes your character a lot, and here they are. He, she, they. I don't know the gender of this robot, but it's a robot. Got some good robot going on. And yeah. Wish Giik and I are extremely like big fans of this kind of like character design. Like, I have a soft spot for this because of Mega Man, and then like, you know, Giik just loves robots in general.
Yeah, and I'm a furry robot artist, so this is amazing.
Yeah. This is peak character design for all 3 of us right now.
Anyway, I've seen your progress, right? I've seen your progress, and you've done a good job. Like, even though it took like a very long time, a very, very long time to perfect, you've done a wonderful job. Like, can I just throw you like old sprites?
You know what? Sure. This is a good social experiment for the chat, because you guys, when people see like sprites like this, it's like, oh, they must have like got it good the first time around. They're just that good. It's like, no. Yeah, let's pull up the old sprites for this real fast. Tell Delta she's cute. That's what she said. It was at the very bottom of the chat. So, Delta, character's cute. Giik says character is cute. Just give us a second. Oh yeah, this is some improvement. You guys will see in a second. Don't worry. I just gotta save the files and have them get pulled up. So here's one of the drafts of this character. A lot different than the finished product, don't you think? It's it has more of a squirrel look to it, don't you think? Like, it's very interesting on like the design for this. And then let us pull up the first draft of this right here. So we got ourselves, let me organize this actually. So we got ourselves the first draft, the second draft, and then the final draft that you are all seeing now. Wait, is that in the order? In that order? I'm not sure. But like, yeah. Very clear improvement here. And yeah, I'll start this one off because this is a yeah. So to start this off, for a robot, I like how lively it is, right? Like, this is a very energetic idol, and you've done an amazing job maintaining that like sense of speed and sense of like agileness with this design and how the animation is made. With the other design, like the other drafts of this, there was like, you know, things that you could totally improve on. And I think you've nailed the general like first impression of this character, like down. Like, this is a good idol for this character.
Guys, my microphone died for a bit there.
Oh,
I
no.
was going to say the other way around.
Oh, okay, it's the other way around. All right, cool.
Yeah, like the middle one is like the one that we're testing the proper pose,
Yeah.
and I helped them with that so they could have like the proper pose in the last one.
Okay, so we got. It's now in order now. I was like questioning myself because there was like some discrepancy. But anyway, as I was saying about this, the only thing that I could really say to help this animation to get it looking top notch is to fix that like front arm, because it's having like some little growth issues here, and I can see where you're going with it, because you want both arms to be rocking like in a circular motion, and you're doing that well. It's just that like it's starting to lose like mass because it's getting shorter when it's like bending in. So moving those pixels out would help elongate it long enough, just enough for it to look like it's like maintaining that shape, right? And yeah, I think that's the only thing I can pick out for. What about you, Wish? What do you got to point out for this?
Well, you know, the other arm, I don't know if it's actually intentional, right? You said like the forward arm, but the other arm also has a twitchy, but I could also see that as the hand shaking.
Oh yeah.
Right? Like you think of like I forgot that Akuma pose, I believe, where they shake the arm really hard.
Oh yeah.
But seriously, dude, like, it took such a long time to get here, but you've really done a good job. Like, you got most of everything right, just the hands and arms. Hands and arms. So yeah.
Yeah. You are pretty much there, my dude. Just fix up those arms, and you got the idol of your freaking dreams. This is a good sprite. This is a good design. And the only thing that's missing is like that arm movement. And other than that, you got it.
And only way you could go is up from here. And I can't wait to see more. So good. Like, you could tell that they persevered from like the very first iteration, because I've been following them on the main Rivals of Aether Discord in the modding critique.
Also, we got something in the chat bringing up the antenna movement. The back one is a little inconsistent compared to the front one. I would actually agree with that. It's because the you see the one that's like behind the head that we can see, it's not bending like the one in the front. It's just going up and down. Like,
and that's fair, but it's also a minor inconsistency though.
Yeah. I mean, honestly, if that's like the easiest fix of it all, because you could just like copy and paste the one of the antenna, put it behind the head where the other antenna is, and then boom, there you go. Like, it's super easy to fix if that is something that you want to like address. I don't really see a need for it, because like I think the arms is way of a bigger issue to deal with, and it's still like a robot. But even then, it's a super simple fix for this, and all it is just copying and pasting the antenna, and then doing it on the other end.
Yeah.
Why does the antenna? It just does, Squally.
Visual player.
Yeah. If you got a super active idle like this one, you gotta keep everything moving. If one's stationary, it really looks jarring for a lot of cases. So yeah. Overall,
and
all right,
pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
Oh, pretty good. Yeah, 10 out of 10.
Yeah.
Give yourself a clap. You got like a seal of approval right here.
Yeah. You got all of Starry Eyes looking at this character's progress. And I can't wait to see what else you whip up for it. All right, let's move on over to our next animation, which is an F tilt. And yeah, it's just a little jab forward. I'm moving the wrong thing, so let me just move this out the way. All right, just blow this up a little bit.
What's the name of this guy? Why does this look so familiar? Like, it reminds me of all those old MS-DOS games.
Yeah, it really does have that look to it, doesn't it?
Their name is RY, just RY, and they were doing a resprite. So yeah, I'll start this off.
Hey, go for it.
Okay. Yeah. All right. So what you got here is pretty simple, right? It's pretty good on its own, right? But what I would do, like, I'm not sure if it's like the top of the head is a bit stationary, right? Could wiggle that as they move forward. Like as you move the head forward, the parts of the head move back, and you could greatly improve this on this animation by just giving like a few frames to wind up that before stabbing. Like, I think this is like an art style thing, right?
Yeah, this is definitely like a an illustration kind of thing, like the creator here having a certain style, or at least they have one now and they're trying to develop one as they're going on. It's one of the two.
And another thing is like, I don't know if that's intentional, but like, I think they're moving in place. I think that's the term.
Yeah.
Moving in place. Right, because like I see them like shifting forward, but they still maintain like I see them shifting forward, but they're moved back as they shift forward.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. And like a stab like this, you're supposed to keep your feet firm, right?
Yeah.
Unless you're doing that because you're hitting the border. And as he always says here, expand the canvas if you need room.
I'm actually looking at the file for this, like in OBS. And sorry, he has room, but the issue is for this, it's like not aligned where the left half of the canvas is even with the right. So there's a lot of extra room that's not being used at all on the left side than it is on the right.
Oh yeah, and you could fix this with setting the origins and rivals. So don't be afraid to like move it back just to get the motion proper, right? Because you know what it looks like, right? They're like dancing.
Yeah.
Their legs be dancing.
It looks like he's cutting a jig, all right.
Yeah. And Yeah, I think that's pretty much it. Really, like you could improve this immensely by having like a wind up like gearing before you stab, and then like the head pedal things. You can move that forward because like I'm thinking how this works, right? Because like with the art style, it greatly could be improved by just like the motion itself,
Yeah.
right? Because like I'm imagining like something like a putt putt.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's
the
what it
animations of-
reminds me of. It does look like this design reminds me of like those old like educational like PC games that you get, not even get, that your school computer has to like teach you to learn math while you're just trying to like waste time in class or something. Like
Yeah, like freaking humongous entertainment. Like, their entire catalog, pretty much.
pretty much, yeah.
You could also do some overshoot on this one. It's not necessary, but like you could also improve it with an overshoot. So like gear up and then a little bit of overshoot.
I think it desperately needs some overshoot because it just stops. Like the motion on what this character is doing, which is supposed to be like a stab forward, it just abruptly stops. So that like it implies even when this move is whiffing, it just hits whatever wall that's in front of them, and it feels like it feels very jarring for an attack, you know. Some overshoot would definitely help it not look like a still frame, which is probably the biggest part of polish, like animation polish, that someone can have for their animations, even in like this beginner state. And that's like showing that there's not a long pause between the animation, like between the animation starting, the animation actually landing the hit, and then the animation ending. Like that overshoot helps everything like flow, and that's
Oh yeah.
that's desperately needed. I think that's desperately needed for this animation, including like more of a wind up. On the wind up thing, I would actually like for it to be like the arm is like reeling back and the body is like kind of turning a little bit to show the viewer, both the player and the opponent, like, okay, this move is about to like jab forward, get ready for it, you know? And that's very important for these kind of animations. It's important for any animation, honestly. It's just,
If you're animating attacks, here's my suggestion. Always think of it as 3 sections. We got your wind up, the attack itself, and the end, right?
yeah.
And that's how it really works on Rivals too. Like if you go into programming, if you notice, most of attacks it's like a 3-hit a 3-piece section where there's like your startup, the hit, and the end lag.
Mm-hmm.
And it also helps like sell the impact of each animation that you do, right? It's not just like don't make the like my first early mistake with Astra, right? Where it's just like startup, and it's just a really tiny startup, and then attack right away.
Mm-hmm.
And that made it really hard to like program Astra's attacks at first. So
Yeah.
I really moved them to have this start, attack, and end. And you'd want this also for, like, let's say if you're doing a 3-hit jab, you also have to categorize every single hit as that. Like, hit 1 has start, attack, end. Hit 2 has start, attack, end. And it just makes a lot more sense with how the rival system also works.
Yeah.
But yeah.
I kind of got like the lucky end from just like this whole experience, but I do have my own issues with designing moves with that in mind, because as anyone would know, Olympia has a lot of like very clear tells, right? Like I went above and beyond to show like something like jab 3, where it's just like she turns her body and then she like leans back and her arms are over her head, and then like the neck, as soon as the attack's supposed to come out, boom, she stomps forward, arms are down, like it's just super dramatic on how like that pose is supposed to go. And that's the kind of like things you should be like going for. Not to that extent, obviously. There's reasons and like decisions that you should make to be designing movement to be shown to the viewer. You're not, I wouldn't want you to do like this extravagant like turn body back, arms moving backwards, there's like a weird turn of the wrist or something. Like, no, you don't need any of that. Just like something to pull back so the viewer can see that you're getting ready to do something.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the important thing for all that. And the overshoot is just like, it has its artistic flair. Like, it just makes the animation look a lot cleaner. So wind up and an overshoot would be the best thing that you can like pull from all this.
Yeah.
Things like secondary motion in the hair and all that stuff, like that'll come in time. You'll get an eye for it soon, very soon. But yeah, no, like the wind up and the overshoot of the jab forward, I think it's very needed.
Answer the door.
What's up? Oh, she Wish is muted for a second. So yeah, we're gonna move over to the next animation. If Wish has anything he wants to bring up after that, we'll go back to this animation and address it. So we're just gonna go over to the next animation, which is a entrance for Josh. And oh boy, is it an interesting entrance. Very, I don't want to say interesting 5 other times, but yeah, this is a crazy animation. There's just,
I had the door.
yeah, it's fine. Yeah, the Abyss intro. Massive double vibes from Skullgirls, exactly. It does give those vibes extremely up. It's just a lot going on
right?
here.
Okay, you want to see what they caught on? I don't know what to say. It's just good and also creepy at the same time.
Yeah. Like, one thing I would probably say for this is to like try and manipulate frames on some where it looks like it's kind of just being pulled down. Like, there's a frame where the mouth is open the widest, and then instead of like still like moving down like this like arcing motion or whatever, it just like freezes and gets pulled down. It only happens for like 3 frames. Like, there's like stuff in this animation that kind of just like compresses down, and I don't think that doesn't work well for this animation. That being said, even without that, this is just, geez, there's so much everything else going on that like that seems like a very nitpicky thing for me to say. Like, it's this animation is all types of ambitious.
It's like super good. Like, already you got like every factor down. It's just that the very start, right? You could use some work. Like, what you could do is like make them like, as Joshua comes out of this, right? You could like make the other parts like flap down instead of just adjusting the pixels down, right? Like, you could make like the jacket fall. You could make the pants thinner. You could make you couldn't even make the face, like make it act like clothing when it moving down. So like once it's already like max open, then you could just treat it like cloth and it just falls down naturally until like it starts, circling around and turns into Joshua.
Yeah. Like
This Josh.
Now that you've gotten like this animation and you see the direction you want to go for, the next thing that you should be like keeping in mind for this animation in particular, if you want to like polish this up, and this is just polish, right? Honestly, I would probably assume that Wish thinks the same thing, but I would really think that this is like a solid animation. This is like send to post, or we're gonna put it in the game. Like, this is a good animation. But if you want to polish it up and make it even more creepy, right? I would like do a little bit more with like that starting animation with like the girl form, and have like some like, instead of like a bounce, be like a like eerie twitch, right? And then sell more of like the mouth like starting to open up. Like you could like exaggerate the mouth opening way more than that, right? Definitely look at Skullgirl's double for animation ideas for that. How to make this worse. Because this kind of like stuff, this is an intro animation. This gives you the first impression for whatever skin you're using for this. Like, first impressions are freaking key for this, and I will make sure that I will plant as many terrible, ambitious ideas as possible to make sure this character just like drops jaws as soon as like they pick the abyss color or whatever for this character. Because my goodness, this is like all types of good, but you know what? It could be better. It could be so much better. There's a reason why Double still resonates with people, even though it's just like a clone character, right? Like those animations that Double does have resonates with a lot of people because it's super crazy. Also, that I forgot his name, but it's like the goop guy from Blaze Blue.
The goop guy, Arakune.
Yeah, Arakune. Yeah. Like that guy. He also has animations and stuff that are very eerie and like creepy, and that could like go into improving this animation, or even just giving you ideas on what else you can do with it. Because like, my only thing that I would give to you as like advice is just exaggerate the hell out of this. Like, take frames that looks like it might be like moving down or anything, or things that it looks like just like a slight bounce, exaggerate it. Just exaggerate the hell out of it. Just make it as creepy as possible. And you got this far, you know what you're doing. Just push it further, and you got yourself like a 10-star animation in my book. Holy shit, I want to see what this would look like if you like push it further. But yeah, that's my gushing.
I got nothing else to say, like, aside from the creating it like cloth, and got a lot of improvements from spread starts, and just like I could not have thought of those, mostly because like, you know, it's weird, like I deal with Eldritch horror like almost all the time outside of spriting, but I can't imagine that in sprite. Yeah. Did I lose again? Spark?
What's up?
Did I lose you?
No, I'm right here. I was just like,
It went through.
I hope not. That sucked. I'm still alive. Yeah, we're good on this end.
Talking a bit, and like I'm not even sure if everything I said went through.
Oh yeah, no, it went through.
Okay, coolio. All right, really good animation.
Yeah. Get work
I don't
here.
have much to. Yeah.
All right, let's go over to our next animation, And we got ourselves another idle animation, but this time of a stickman. It's looking at the files called Stickman Pete. Look at him go. He's very large. Let me
Stickman Pete.
let me scale him down. That's not the window I want it. Reset. There we go. All right.
Actually, now I think about it, is that an actual series?
Maybe.
Or, you know,
Guys in the chat, is Stickman Pete from something? You guys are more hip with the times than I am, so help me out here. Help us out here. But as we're getting confirmation on this stuff, yeah, we got ourselves a pretty lively animation on this. Like, there's a lot of parts moving. Google has nothing. Okay, so it must be an OC.
It's an OC. Okay. Excuse me. Anyway, good animation. A lot of errors.
Yep.
All right. Like, first thing, like any reasonable person. Oh gosh. Hold on. Let me just sneeze this out. The sneeze never came out. Oh jeez. Okay. All right. So any reasonable person would actually look at the leg, right? It's already like changing mass.
Yeah.
But for me, like being the nitpicky person I am, the one I notice is that muscle on the left hand arm, on the left arm. Isn't that supposed to be straight? Why is it bending that way?
There's a lot going on here.
In fact, why is the entire your body moving that way, right? Like unless you're like sitting in place, right?
Want to know what this reminds me of? This reminds me of like claymation animation, where like the mass are just like amateur like claymation, where like the mass is just always moving, but it's like consistent. But it's like in a weird consistent, you know, like it's like an unnatural consistent where it's only consistent for the fact that it's in that medium, right? That's what that's the kind of vibes I'm getting off of for this character. It looks like it's like a claymation character made in 2D. Like that's the kind of vibe I'm getting from this. However, I don't think that's the vibe you're going for, and therefore I think that's the bad vibe we're supposed to be getting for this. I understand that you're trying to break away from the sorry about that. Break away from like the easy just standing still kind of animation. You want to challenge yourself, right? For this, I would say go back to the first frame, make a new layer if you're using Sprite. If you're not, well, you're gonna have to figure something out. But if you're using Sprite, make a new layer over the first layer, and then making segments what parts of the body will have like joints and right, like draw one where the shoulder is, draw one where like the bicep and the tricep connects where the elbow is, and then draw some for where like the thigh and the calf are where the knee connects, right? And then go through that animation like frame by frame, but instead of redrawing everything, just like rotate them, right? It's gonna look really gnarly, right, when you're doing all that, but that guideline will help you so much with like seeing the errors that's going on here, because the rotation tool doesn't get rid of that mess. It just makes it really jagged, and you just need that idea.
Yep. And here's the thing, right? When you're moving the character, make sure that they're what do you call this? Seated in place.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, this is what we call like anchor points, where like the body moves around it, and normally like a stickman or pretty much any kind of human, you have your both of your feet are basically like planted on the ground, and they're the one that helps you move and keeps the animation grounded.
Mm-hmm.
Where it doesn't slide, like it doesn't slide as you move, right? Like if you try to move, unless you're like in ice skates, it doesn't move like that.
Yeah.
So revolve your pose around that. Study other animations actually. Did a similar pose, a similar stance, and you'd probably get it. You'd probably get it right. I mean, I could see you like, you're getting started about this, but like you're moving different parts in different places where it's not supposed to be seated.
Mm-hmm.
And here's like the knowledge of like anatomy kind of helps, or rather just how people move in general. Yeah, I don't know how to put this to words, to be honest. Other than that,
it's just like the maintaining mass of the arms and well the whole body, honestly, except for the head, and just keeping in mind on how joints work, because there's a lot of things where you got the idea, but it's just like, especially in the legs. I think the legs is the worst culprit of this. Like the knees are like rising up, and like the muscle mass is like disappearing and reappearing, especially in the feet. Just being able to like maintain that area is probably what you should be aiming for next. And it's not difficult, but it is something you have to be cautious about, and that's the hardest part about doing animation, is being cautious about what you're drawing, in my opinion, because a lot of people, myself included, tend to zone out when they make animations, right? Like even sometimes like top animators in the world does this. Sorry. And that's why we got like a bunch of notes on over animation, like pencil tests and stuff, because when they do think about it, they write it down and be like, okay, I need to keep this in mind, so when I animate it, it'll actually look correct, instead of just going at it and throwing pages at the wall and hoping something will stick.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Look up the principles of animation. It might help you a lot more when you think through it. It's like, I know it's gonna be a slog looking through it. It's like 30 minutes to an hour, right? Like 30 minutes to an hour, and just sit down. If you really want to improve, right? Sit down and look into the principles of animation, and help on just getting the pose right. It helps on getting the pose right, how the body moves, how the consistency and everything does, and more. And I also recommend like trying it out outside of Pixel. Like you got used to.
Also, another thing that can definitely help with this animation.
Yeah.
Reenact it.
Oh yeah.
Like.
Oh yeah. You could feel the joints, like where you're supposed to sit.
Yeah. Flying While Falling, I see you in the chat. This is a podcast where we get animations and we give tips and tricks on how to improve those animations so they can be used for their mods in Rivals of Aether, and even outside of this, if anybody decides to do animations outside of like Rivals modding. A little bit of backstory on all this. Wish and I has worked on some pretty pretty well received and pretty popular Rivals mods, even to this day. And it's been like, yeah, like a half a year since those characters got released. So yeah. You wish to start? You don't know how to start? That's easy. Start. Just go for it. The hardest part is getting past that hurdle of, hey, I want to do something, but I don't know how to do it. Do it. Just go for it. Here's a quote.
Just go for it.
Yeah, here's a quote that I coined like a little bit at the end of last year, right? You only make your worst work once, right? Just do it.
Every time you do it, you get better.
Yeah. Like there's always something to just get something going, right? I just need a microphone, really. Oh, podcast. All right. Yeah, no. If you don't have the finances for it, just chill out on that. Save up and all that good stuff. We just do this stuff casually to help out the community, and we're not trying to like win awards or anything. But still, it's same principle as we're giving to all these animators and stuff. Just do it. But if you're doing with money, get to the thing. Don't be smart about it. Anyway,
all right.
Back to topic.
Hold on. Before we do, here's one thing, right? We launched this podcast without any sense of professional. All right? Early YouTubers started with a terrible microphone.
Yeah.
Right? Just do it. Just do it. It's like the same principle that Sprite Star. Just do it.
Yeah.
Like, seriously.
And even if like you say whatever, if you're doing something, be sure to do it like because you want to do it and you find it enjoyable for doing it. If you do it to try and push something, it's not going to be as enjoyable, and it feels more of a chore and like a job you're not getting paid for than something that you enjoy. So keep that in mind when you're doing these podcasts and things, that there's going to be a point it's going to be a point where you do it and then the ratings don't come in and it's like, dang, this ain't fun anymore. So keep that in mind. I don't want to discourage you from it. Just keep that in mind. Yeah. Back on topic to on what this podcast is originally supposed to be for, before we get all philosophical on how to do things. Yeah, reenact this animation. That will help you a lot on trying to like master this pose, right? Because trying to do this animation right now might be feeling a little awkward, you know? So if you want this particular motion to be drawn out, reenact it. Like, just go in your room or like close the door or whatever. No one's gonna laugh at you. Just like do this pose. You don't even need a mirror. Just like feel it out, right? And if the first thing that comes to mind is, dang, this kind of feels uncomfortable, then you might want to work on doing a different kind of pose for this. Because you got an idea, but I think this motion that's going on might be a little awkward, and just to reenact in real life. So just keep that in mind when you're doing that.
Mm-hmm. Okay. Yeah, I think we're good with this one.
Yeah. You got a good little bit of work ahead of you, but you're heading towards a good direction. You just need to be more mindful of the decision that you make from here on out. And once you do that, you'll go from the beginner to more of an intermediate level of animation, and you'll start doing all the fancy stuff that we're doing. So yeah, just keep at it and follow that advice. All right, we're gonna move over to the Jester that was made by the maker of King Briggs, and now we got ourselves a Upstrong animation. It has very similar vibes to Lucas's Downstrong, like Down Smash and Smash Brothers, but it's upward, which is a very interesting choice. Honestly, this covers a lot of the points that it was lacking on the last animation, mainly the jingle jangles on the end of like the shirt thing. They got some jingle to it. That's a good choice. You're doing good on that regard. There's a little bit of like sub-pixel animation going on with the hair. Also good choice. I would actually say, instead of it being like bend at the legs and just stand straight up, I would probably do something like move like that purple leg out to like for him to be more of a playful pose. I think that would like help this animation a lot, because it's pretty like stationary and it works, but you could show the personality of this Jester a lot more with that, you know?
Mm-hmm. I blanked out.
It happens.
I look at it, I blanked out.
It happens to the best of us.
Can you recap what you just said?
So what I was saying, that this character has like some improvements from the last animation that we covered on the podcast, mainly on like the bells on the end of the shirt actually like jingles when he does motion. Good call. The animation on its own is solid, but I think what would be very helpful for this to sell this character's personality is, instead of him just like standing upward normally, he would like lean on one foot and have the other foot kind of like be kicked out a little bit to show the more playful side of the Jester, instead of it just being like stand up straight.
Okay, I think you cut off right there. Okay, alright. Like, for me, I have my alternate takes of that. Right? Maybe like, when you're charging, right? When you're charging the thing, it's like, give it a little nudge forward, and then just give it a bouncy jump to also help it. You could totally do a bounce.
Yeah.
But leaning forward, you know, leaning forward also just as well works. Alejandro says that you could see them kicking off a bit on the second little pop, and yeah, that could work too. I mean, animation wise, it's like it's already perfectly okay. It's just that my problem is like it's stiff while doing the charge, right? That's the most striking one for me. And you could like definitely like do more with that charge than keeping it in place, right? Because like they look like they're not doing much to charge it, right? And then like the visual flares that Sprite Star said, that's pretty much it.
Yeah. Dino, yeah, it's like midnight for me. But it's fine. I'm doing this for the people. I will persevere. But yeah, all good points. I think either direction that you can take for with this animation will help this a lot with just showing off the personality of it, because you have the base of what you want this animation to be, and I like the direction that it's going, but I am a very strong advocate of showing personality in more than just like expression. Like the overall movement of the character is very important to me, which is why I made Olympia the way that she is, and why I'm kicking it up to 11 once I'm working on definitive Olympia, because there's a lot of personality that you can show, even with her being as expressive as she is already. But that's beside the point. Point is that you can also add that expressiveness to this character, and a Jester is a very expressive character. You could play the hell out of this. Like, that could be like the most fun thing about making this animation. And I know King Briggs had like a lot of fun making those sprites. Believe me, I see these animations. I know you had a hoot and a holler of a good time making those animations. Those are some fun animations to make. But you can replicate that with this Jester dude very easily.
Oh yeah. Oh, and if you really want an example of a Jester wacky things, look at Dissidia and its Kefka.
Oh yeah.
Like every single move just screams personality from that one. And you could totally, absolutely pull it off too.
Definitely can. You got the skills to do it, dude. Just go hog wild on these animations. Put as much personality as you freaking want. As much as you can cram into it, even if you want to be like that, like crazy with it. Just go for it. Your animations will not be worse because of it. I will tell you right now. And if someone says otherwise, I will personally fight them. I'll do it because I think that's really dumb. This character that's brimming with personality should be able to show set personality.
Mm-hmm. Also, Nina said, mouth no move. I think that's fine.
I think it's fine. Like, the rest of the animation has enough movement to make it, like, passable, you know? Like, you got the bells moving, you got the hat, the arm is, you know, pretty well made, like, pretty well animated. I would be more inclined to look at the legs than the face, actually, because the animation on the legs is extremely, like, stiff, and just like our points before at the beginning of this whole like critique, animating the legs differently in some other way, whether it be like a more of an exaggerated bend at the beginning, or like some kind of like way to like the legs would move during like when the magic is being thrown out. I think that's more of something you should focus on than the face, because you got to remember this is a Jester. Like, that's their job, to always be, like, smiling like this. I aspire to be Sprite Star too.
Work smart. Don't be Sprite Star too.
Yeah, exactly. You don't
want to do mainframe.
You don't want to make a character that has, like, over 300 animations and then do it again almost a month later. Don't. Just don't. But yeah, I'm currently in Sprite Star. Is this now the meme now?
Sprite Start, Jump Start, Sprite Start.
Yeah. But yeah, great animation. It needs more personality, and then it'll be an amazing animation. All right, let's end off this podcast with a run animation from our good friend Zito.
Yeah, Yaki.
Yaki is back and he's ready to kick some butt.
Yeah. And you want to know my opinion on this?
Go for it.
Absolutely nothing, because it's perfect.
I have one thing, but I'll save that after you say what you got to say about the animation, praise and all.
Okay. All right. Okay. All right. How smoothness of this, I love, right? I love the smoothness of this. It's just that like it flows from one pose to the other, and it's like has that goofy mobster run kind of thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I feel like with this one.
Yeah,
right?
this anime. Remember, like literally the last submission where it's like personality is important. This is a good example of adding personality to an animation, because how it looks is how it feels, like, or vice versa. How it feels is how it looks. Like it has like that "I'ma get you" kind of mood for it. But yeah.
Yeah. Other things like frigging hair flaps, they get flaps as they move, and I love it. And it's great.
Yeah, it's pretty good.
I'd rant more, but then I also when I start and then like when I rant more, it's the time I start noticing some details.
I will say
every time.
I will say one thing, and I think that will improve the animation so much more. A little bit of a head turn when the arm is being moved, like the arm facing the camera or facing the viewer, like having the head turn a little bit would help make this animation look a lot like nicer. And I don't even like something as like a couple of pixels shifting to give the illusion that the head is moving, like the head is turning. Like that would make this a way more lively animation, in my opinion, because like that's the only thing. I understand the need to have it stationary because it's a very focused one, right? Like this run animation has like that feeling that whatever he's looking at, he's gonna get, right? There's no bullshit about it. He's gonna get it. Even then, I will still add like a slight turn of the head just to get that extra flair to keep the entire sprite looking lively instead of 90% of the sprite looking lively.
Reminds me, like a good example Sprite Star just said is from Mega Man X4. X's run cycle. Like they relatively stay in place, kind of they walk kind of like this, like run rather like this, but then you could the head bob left and right.
Yeah,
it's not even bob, it's shifting left and right, like in a 3D sense, not, you know. And then another thing that could also improve is like it's probably the depth, right? Because right now it kind of like looks like the other arm is replacing the other arm. Right? Like just adjust the other arm like forward. That would help significantly too.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much it, because like Sprite Star just said what I was going to say about the head.
Yeah. I would give one more thing, and it would be to go back to my very famous copy pasta. If it'd be so simple to implement, and that's on that like back leg and back arm, just use like that mid-tone and dark tone instead of using a highlight, because that would visually help separate the two arms. Because right now there's like equal shading on like both sides of the hand, especially the fist is coming out. Oh
yeah.
Like it's that was like a trick that like I picked up while working on some other stuff for pixel art, and someone gave me that exact same thing where it's like, okay, the arms like are very hard to distinguish each other when they're moving. So like you need to find a way to get past that. And just using that darkest shade or like that mid-tone and darkest shade will help separate it from the highlight. And it's super simple. You don't have to like redraw it again, because like all the eye is trying to look at the colors in depth, right? So just use the shades to show that death and make it look like it's behind, you know? If it's like trying to hook over, then like use a little bit of a highlight on like the top of the fist or something. But other than that, just like replace that highlight on that on the back leg and the back arm with just like the shade. And I think that problem will be fixed there. It will visually look like from far away. Like if I minimize this a little bit, right? Like if I make this smaller, not like that, like this. You see how like weird it looks? Because it's the shade, the highlight is the same as like the front side. So just making it as like the shades instead, and for the back parts of it, when you shrink it down small, which when you boot up Rivals, sprites are still gonna look fairly small, right? It only gets big when you full screen it. But yeah, just that color, the visual for it helps your eye separate it and like clears that up for you.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that's all I got. Anything you would like to add?
Nothing more really. Like, yeah, I could see like the shade thing. It's like it didn't occur to me. It's like because like to me it's like I could see like the arm going back, right? And it's a different shade. And it didn't occur to me both hands have almost the same shade.
Yeah.
It's like, yeah. And that's pretty much it, yeah.
But yeah. That is all the submissions that we got for tonight. Thank you everybody for joining this podcast. We got a lot of good submissions that was picked out for this podcast, and we got a lot of good ones coming up for the next one. Thank you everybody that's thank you everybody that's been submitting things. You guys are really improving your work, I've been noticing, and we'll catch up on the next one. So tune in for the next Starry Eyes Aether's Workshop podcast to get your stuff reviewed.
I love how this is like, you know, it's just getting better and better.
Yeah, like
I'm mostly silent-ish. Like I don't know my words to say, but I'm just hiding my feeling right now.
Like
it's so good. Right?
We've made this clear, like episode 1 to episode 2 of Starry Eyes, that like seeing you guys' improvement throughout the podcast, for not just the animations that you're working on, but all your animations after that, is the best part of this podcast for us. Like straight up, like it is super exciting to see you guys just take something as simple as us giving you guys advice and just running with it and just making the best shit you could possibly make. It's super exciting to see.
It is an amazing thing to see you guys like improve and all. I may not have been able to say much this stream, right? Supposedly spreads to around. That, or just notice that I do ramble too, but like yeah, just keep submitting. It keeps us very happy we're working on these, you know. Yeah, and that's pretty much it.
Yeah.
Again, the next few submissions will start from the new emoji next thing. You know, it's not gonna be a single emoji where people could think that they're next this time.
Yeah.
Okay. And yeah, if you guys need to replace something, by the way, be sure to tell us.
Yeah.
Or just put it in, or rather just put it in SE submissions that I would like to replace this submission with this one, and we'll replace it.
Yeah.
Anyway, yeah, remember to shine your way and reach your dreams. Keep it simple, everyone. Keep it simple.
Peace out, everybody.